So you want to get into rent to rent. You like the idea of renting a property and then renting it out again on Airbnb or through HMO, legally, by the way. And normally when I speak to people like you that want to do this, it's for two main reasons. Number one, you want to generate more income to replace your work income, or maybe to add to it, or maybe to help a partner or set up for retirement and pensions. Or perhaps you just want your time back and you're sick of building somebody else's lifestyle. You want to build your own legacy and you want to have more time with your kids, with your family, traveling, or just doing what you love. Well, rent to rent's absolutely great for that. But the problem is, it's not easy, right? It's hard. There's so much information out there. Who do you listen to? Do you listen to this podcast, that YouTube channel? Well, you need to listen to this YouTube channel. Or do you do that course or that mastermind? And who can you trust? Because when I started, I invested in courses and all they did was upsell me. And they never really provided the support that I needed. All right? So if you're watching this, maybe you're struggling getting set up. Maybe you're not sure how to do this legally and compliantly. A lot of you I speak to are struggling with the legal side and how to get the contracts, how to source the deals when you're a brand new company. What do you say to letting agents and landlords to get them on board? And that's before you even get your hands on the property, where your new challenge becomes, what happens if I can't fill it and I can't guarantee the rent? What happens then? So you then have the challenge of cash flowing the property to make sure you got the income, and then systemizing it to make sure that you've got the time, which is the whole reason you wanted to do this in the first place. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, Simon, why do you even do all this stuff? All right. Well, the fact of the matter is, when I started, I felt like there was no one to really follow. No one that looked like me or sounded like me or who had actually done this stuff. All right. So I was lost. And that's why I created this channel, to help as many of you as possible, because I'm somebody that's done this stuff, I've documented it, and now I help hundreds of people change their lives through this strategy. I'm Simon, rent-to-rent specialist and mentor, and I've built a 7-figure rent-to-rent empire, and I've not gone out and started buying stupid stuff. You don't see no Lambos around here. I've reinvested that into assets I do own to make sure that my family are good forever, all right? To the point where we own property that are going up in value every single year, and it doesn't matter anymore because we're financially independent. I'm the author of the #1 rent-to-rent book, The Art of Cash Flowing Property You Don't Own. We've got the biggest YouTube channel with hundreds of free videos to help people like you in rent-to-rent specifically. And we've got a massive community of people just like you, all right, just like me, cool people, good people that are doing this strategy and getting amazing results. Now, when I decided I wanted to help, my challenge was, how do I get everything in my head down into some sort of model which meant that I could get the same result every time? It meant that it's not just going to work for me, but it's going to work for you every single time we do it. And I call this my rent to 100K model. Let's take a look. So here we have the model, and I call this my rent to 100K model. In other words, this is the model that can get you from ground zero, no experience in rent to rent, all the way to 100K and beyond in the most efficient, fastest possible way. So what we do is we start in the middle. So as I explained earlier, most of you want to do rent to rent for the following reasons. Number one, okay, we want the income. All right, we want the money. Of course we do, because the money is going to be the thing that funds our life. It's going to allow you to quit your job, to go part-time, to have maternity leave, extended maternity leave, or to have your partner have extended maternity leave, to set yourself up for retirement, pension, to look after your health. We say health is wealth, but wealth allows you to focus on your health, right? So the first thing most people want is income. But as soon as you've got money, you'll realize actually the next thing we all want is, of course, time. And time is precious because you never ever get it back. So I remember before I got into property, I felt like my time wasn't my own. Maybe you can relate. Maybe, you're working a 9 to 5 and you're not getting the time you want with your family, or you're not getting the time you want to do the things that you want to do. Well, you'll never get the time back. And I speak to so many people that say, yep, I want to do property, and 6 months go by, 12 months go by, 24 months go by with absolutely no action. So you want to do this stuff now to get your time. And what I love is income plus time equals this beautiful thing that we all want called freedom. And all financial freedom really is income and time. Now, here's when we get into it. So how do we achieve that through rent to rent? Well, the first thing we've got to do is, of course, control property. That's the first thing we've got to do. But interestingly, if you don't know how to cash flow that property, then guess what? You're not going to generate any income, are you? So it's very, very important that we learn right at the beginning how to control the property and then how to cash flow it so we get that income that you are looking for. The problem you've got at this point is if you're not careful, this is what I see a lot of people do. They control a property, they start to make a bit of money, but of course, they then lose their time. You don't want another job, right? So this is where I then show people how to systemize to free up their time. And the beautiful thing about it is if you control property and cash flow it, you won't have time. But as soon as you add those systems in, you will have time. And then the idea is if you repeat this over and over again, you're going to create freedom. And that, of course, is the holy grail. So controlling property plus cash flowing that property plus systemizing that property plus then scaling will give you the freedom that you really, really want. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, okay, well, what comes next? How do I go about doing that? Well, the interesting thing is we then go a step deeper. All right, we then go into these petals on the outside, and I've got 3 stages. All right, there's 3 stages of achieving this in each realm. So in controlling property, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to prepare. I'm talking about getting set up, doing the market research so you know the area works, you know the type of properties you want, you know whether you're doing HMO or SA and the best way to generate cash flow in your area. The second thing that we want to do is, of course, source deals. So I show people how to source deals through 9 direct-to-vendor techniques and through several letting agency techniques so that you can get the property ready to then cash flow it. But the final step of the control section here, which a lot of people forget about, it's the contracts, the closing, the negotiation. How do you go from a lead that you've sourced to your first set of keys? So we then show people how to, of course, close that deal so that they can get their first property deal. And by the way, the first property deal that we're generating, we're aiming for a minimum of £1,000 per month from just one deal. And if you're in London, we're aiming for more than that, as high as £2,000, or should I say, starting from £2,000. The craziest thing about this is some of our London deals, they're actually generating a massive 5k cash flow per month, which is ridiculous. Let me know, like literally, let me know what that would do for you. So then we move on to the cash flow section of this, and let's take this beautiful on-brand yellow. Well, how do we go about that then? Well, check it out. The first thing we've got to do, all right, the first thing we want to do is we want to learn how to be amazing at rent-to-rent refurbs. That's right, we've got to get great at refurbs. I've done hundreds of refurbs now where I took a property, added value, and made it absolutely amazing and ready for the market. Then you've got to be good at filling those properties, which of course is your marketing. If no one knows about your property and you've not got it on the right platforms, and you've not got the right channel manager, you've not got the right pricing, and you've not got the right photo shoot and the product there, then you will never get the elusive cash flow. And last but not least, what about the management? I'm talking about systems and operating systems and CRMs and making sure that you're doing this in the correct way. If you're doing SA, or you taking the deposits, or they signing your terms and conditions. If you're doing HMO, are they signing the right tenancy agreement? Have you got your communication automated so it's not taking too much of your time? And that is how you master the art of cash flowing. And then last but not least, it's of course all about systems. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to unlock some sexy software that's gonna start automating this stuff and freeing up your time. Because if you don't do this, and if you don't learn this from somebody that's done it for themselves, then you're gonna find, yeah, I'm controlling property, I'm getting money, but I've got no time. I know a lot of you are watching this, you haven't got time anyway. You got kids, you got jobs, you got commitments, you got hobbies, you got partners. You ain't got time anyway. So you don't want to do this and then not systemize it. And I want to systemize it from day one. The next thing is processes. Think about McDonald's, man. The processes are so tight that every single time it's standardized. You don't want one guest that has one experience, or one landlord that has one experience and then the other has a completely different story. You don't want that. So how can we create processes and layer them so eventually you can get a team that run this for you? And when you get a team, that's when, of course, you can begin to remove. And there is actually a fourth section of this model, which is all about the next level. All right. So when I started, all right, and most information out there, it focuses just on this. All right. It's all about sourcing deals. And most people completely neglect the cash flowing section. You know, the courses I did at the beginning, they completely neglected the cash flowing and the systemizing stuff. But what I've realized is you need all of this. And I want to guide you on all of those things, because that's how, of course, you're going to get the income, you're going to get the time, and most importantly, you're going to get the freedom. Simple as that, right? All you got to do is follow the model. And over time, I've refined it, because most people talk about getting the deal. But as I said just now, what happens when you get the deal? And that's when the model really comes into its own to drive your income and save your time. Now, what I would love to do is offer you an absolute free call where we can go through the model together, look at how it relates to you and your area and your investment level and your time and your situation, and see how we can help you actually make progress, and see how we can actually put things in place, give you a plan that's going to guarantee you results. All right, so if that sounds good, go ahead, hit the link in the description and book that call. Now I know what you're thinking. Free call? Come on, Simon. We wasn't born yesterday. All you're going to do is sell to us. Well, look, full transparency, this is not a sales call. All right, it's a strategy call. We want to try and look at where you're at, help you understand and implement the model. And sure, some of you might want further help and mentorship, or you want to be part of the community. And if that's you, great. But if not, you're going to get massive value from this call. So go ahead, hit the link in the description, book a call. We can't wait to speak to you soon.